so glad that you've joined me here tonight. Tonight, we are going to break down the upcoming Super Bowl game on this Sunday night. Normally, I told you guys that we would be a college football covered show, but college football is over with. There are a lot of stories. We could talk about National Signing Day that happened last week. I may talk a little bit about that next week, but really, I wanted to focus on the Super Bowl. It's the last big football game we have for quite some time, and I think, with all the festivities going on, which kind of less in a pandemic COVID year, but with all the festivities going on, it's fun to talk about the Super Bowl, right? So let's talk about the last big football game we'll have probably until August or September of this year. So let's jump right into it. Last week, or the last time we talked more about the AFC and the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, I told you guys that I had bet that the Green Bay Packers would win the NFC and the Kansas City Chiefs would win the AFC. So, unfortunately, for my pick-wise, I was wrong in the NFC, though the Buccaneers, congratulations to them, are going to their first Super Bowl since 2002, and Tom Brady's going to his seventh, or he's looking to win his seventh in his 10 appearances. So, it'll be a great matchup nonetheless. I didn't think there was going to be a bad matchup at all, even if the Bills won on the other side. So, there were the top four teams pretty much throughout all this. At least, the Kansas City, Buffalo, and Green Bay were the top three teams pretty much all season long. And the Buccaneers really picked up steam as the year went along. So it should be a really fun weekend. It should be a really fun time to watch this game between Baby Goat and Goat and Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. If you remember last week, one of the things I talked about in thinking that the Green Bay Packers are going to win, because I said not only do they have home field advantage, which we all know that they weren't allowed to pack the stadium out, but we knew they were going to have some fans there. But really the big thing I said was the weather would affect them. And to an extent, it maybe did at parts in the game. I mean, Brady did throw 3 interceptions to that game, but for the most part, they played really, really well. They played better than I expected them to do. And one thing I told you guys last week when we were talking about, the last time we talked about the game, previewing that game, one of the things I talked about was what Michael Vick pointed out on Fox Sports the week of that game was, the defense should always step up because all you're doing is hitting people, right? And so even though the defense played very, very well for the Buccaneers, exceeded expectations in my mind for that game, they played really, really well, but the Packers didn't play as well as I thought they would. So here we are with the not New England Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And besides those 3 interceptions in that game, Brady actually played a very, very good game, and he was steady. I know he had 3 straight drives or 3 straight interceptions, but Green Bay wasn't able to capitalize on those. The Buccaneers defense was opportunistic and very, very sound in this game, and were able to basically keep everything in front of them with the questionable, I won't even say 4th down call on 4th and 8. Now, I do think, if you're Green Bay, we're specifically talking about them, if it's a 4th and 8, I believe it was 2 or 3 minutes left in the game, and they elect to kick the field goal to get it within, I believe it was like 4 or 5 points. I believe it was to get it within 5, and they could get it up to 3 if they scored again. But I thought they should have had to go for it. That 4th down call wasn't necessarily even what I would think I was most questioning during that time frame, but it was the other 3 play calls prior to that 4th down play. But nonetheless, Tampa Bay locked down. They played a very, very good game. And on the other side, Kansas City had a late scare. I mean, not a late scare, but a first quarter scare. I mean, Mecole Hardman had muffed a punt. Buffalo, I believe, was at 9-0 or possibly 10-0, one of those two. Anyway, they were up going into the second quarter, and basically from there on out, Kansas City just wrecked them, right? So they ended up winning the game, I believe it was 38-24. Kansas City played very, very well down the stretch, and Buffalo wasn't able to really keep up. But now KC will go back into the Super Bowl this year looking to defend their title, and will try to be the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowl championships since, well, you probably guessed it, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots way back when. So let's look at the tail of the tape. I don't know if you guys are UFC fans. I'm a huge UFC fan. They do this in boxing. They do this probably, I think, in One Fighting Championships and Bellator and all these other establishments and programs and stuff. But one of the things I love to watch when fighters step up, especially in the UFC, and you can even take the most recent main event fight between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, was they do the tail of the tape, right? So they say, this is how old the guy is, and this is how tall the guy is. If he has a longer reach than this next guy, does he have, I guess in the UFC, you're talking about a weight class. So is one guy 154.5 pounds, is one guy 155.5 pounds. So I love looking at those. And so let's, from that standpoint, break this game down by a tail of the tape. And yes, we're going to do the tail of the tape by the two quarterbacks. Yes, I know you hear about the two quarterbacks every day, but there's a reason for that, because you have two of the best quarterbacks in the league right now playing in this game, and one who is the greatest quarterback of all time, and not just probably the greatest quarterback of all time, but possibly in most people's mind, 99.9% of people's minds, if you're being honest with yourself, the best player to ever play, or the greatest player accomplishment-wise to ever play in the NFL. So let's look at Tom Brady to start it off. Although he's 43 years old, he is an older guy. His resume not only is nothing short of remarkable, but he doesn't look like it at 43 years old right now. I mean, look at guys like, and I'm not crapping on these guys, I promise you I'm not, but look at guys like Ben Roethlisberger, who is not in his 40s yet, but does not look anywhere near what Tom Brady looks like right now. Look at Drew Brees, who's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, one of the best quarterbacks to ever step up in this game. He looks nowhere near Tom Brady. You can look at Matt Ryan, you can look at Carson Wentz, you can look at Jimmy Garoppolo, all these guys younger and older, none of them look like what Tom Brady looks like at 43 right now. And so let's just break down some of his accomplishments. I have a few here I want to just tell you about. Most of these you probably already know, but I'm going to give you the numbers that go along with them. Tom Brady has played the most playoff games all time by any player. He's played in 44 playoff games. His record during those 44 games involves the most playoff wins of all time. He is 33-11 going into this Super Bowl this week. He has the most Super Bowl appearances all the time. He is currently 6-9, but he is going into his 10th Super Bowl appearance. And if he wins, he will go 7 out of 10, which even if he loses has a 60% win percentage. But if he wins, he'll go up to a 70%, 7 out of 10, which is completely unheard of. Now, what's kind of funny about that is when you watch football games, you can kind of see when a team is playing close or when games come down to the wire, you can always say, well, if a bounce of the ball and a fumble would have gone the other way instead of the way that it happened, maybe this team would have won. Tom Brady won a lot of those games. I think most of them, I want to say most, if not all of them, were decided by less than a touchdown. And so at the end of the day, like, he could be 9-0, but he could very easily be like 2-7 right now. So, but he's great. Just a side point of that. But most Super Bowl appearances all the time. Not only that, he has the highest playoff win percentage by any player in NFL history at 75%. That dude is incredible. He has the most passing yards in the playoffs all time at 12,248 yards. He has the most playoff TD passes of all time at 80. He has, and now let's get into more regular season games too, but he has the most passing touchdowns of all time. I believe Drew Brees passed him as the most passing yards of all time. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I believe Drew Brees has passed him. But even if he's there, he's top 2. He has the most game-winning drives of all times, which speaks to his clutch factor and speaks to why he's considered the GOAT. And he has the most wins of all time by any player in NFL history. I can go on and on and on. Literally, I can go for the next 35 minutes and tell you every record that Tom Brady holds and why that's so important. But then, I think one of the most impressive things to me in his entire career is what he did this year. Right? In his first season, in a brand new system, and when I mean brand new, I do mean brand new. I don't know if you know this, and I mean, if you probably could tell this really easily, but I don't know really if you know this by the breaking down of the scheme that he's playing in. This is the first different scheme that Tom Brady has really ever played in the past 20 years, since he's took over the starting quarterback job in New England. It wasn't, I don't consider it as a dink and dunk offense like many people do in New England, but really, you're not throwing the balls downfield as Bruce Arians is trying to get him to do, because Bruce Arians' main quote is, well, you got to risk it to get the biscuit, right? So in this new offense, I kind of thought Tom Brady would struggle. Meaning by that, I thought you were looking at more of a 28 touchdown to 11 or 12 interception season, which isn't necessarily bad, but I mean, it's not great by any means. It's not an elite by any means. But Tom Brady was excellent this year. And what I mean by excellent is, look at this. In a brand new system, it takes usually a lot of guys to gel. For instance, let's go to a completely different sport. Let's talk about the NBA, for example. When you build super teams, normally those super teams tend to have to take a year to gel well together and to win a championship and to go forward. So, for example, I give you the Miami Heat. When LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade teamed up in Miami, they were the odds-on favorite to win this championship, as they should have been. You have 3 top 15 players and 2 probably top 5. Dwayne Wade could have been top 7 at that time, but LeBron was easily the best player in the league and had been for a while. When they teamed up, everybody expected them to win, right? Except there was a team by an old man Jason Terry, an old man Jason Kidd, an old man Dirk Nowitzki, who went in there and beat them in 6 games. So those things happen, and typically it takes a long time to gel. But I tell you all that to say Tom Brady has gelled in this offense way better than I thought he ever would, at least in the first year. Now, I thought last year I didn't really credit the down season that he had really to him, because really he had one receiving threat, and that was Julian Edelman. He didn't have anybody else. Antonio Brown was there for 1 game and then got kicked out by Bill Belichick. And I think his next best receiver was N'Keal Harry, the rookie out of Arizona State, who then was hurt for most of the year. So really, he only had one guy he was throwing to. I mean, Jacoby Myers is growing up, but really, he didn't have anybody. In his first season in Bruce Arians' offense, in a new system, in a new city, with new players that he had to get acclimated with, he threw for 4,633 yards, 40 touchdowns to 12 interceptions with over a 65% completion percentage. That is elite. And the best part about it, or the most, crucial part about it, is he's doing that at age 43. Most of these guys can't even do that at age 35. So Tom Brady's been nothing short of excellent. And it doesn't look like it's going to be slowing down. To be honest, guys, he says he wants to play past 45. At this point, I am done questioning him. Until I see on the field that he's drastically dropping off, I'll believe whatever the man tells us. If he wants to play till he's 55, okay, I'm not going to believe he's going to play till 55. But if he wants to go play till 55, I'm going to trust him. Do whatever you want to, man. Until you see that on-the-field decline or you just walk off into the sunset, I'm going to believe whatever Tom Brady wants to tell us. He's not slowing down. He's playing excellent. On the other side of the ball, on this side of the tail of the tape, you have Patrick Mahomes, who's considered the baby GOAT. Go ask Shannon Sharp, my man over there at Undisputed at Fox Sports. Baby GOAT is what he calls Anthony Davis in LA, but he also refers to Patrick Mahomes by that, and it's a mantle formerly held by Aaron Rodgers, and basically kind of what it means is the guy that's the next guy kind of take over, because when Aaron Rodgers first came to the league, especially when his first championship, he was playing so well at the time, people would say, well, he's obviously the most talented quarterback we've ever seen. He may look like the next guy to take over. Well, as great as Aaron Rodgers has been, he ain't Patrick Mahomes. Okay, Patrick Mahomes is on another level. If you haven't listened to the crazy 10 stats put up by Patrick Mahomes that Mike Greenberg did at Get Up yesterday on ESPN, go watch it. In fact, if you look below in the description, I'm going to link a video, or I'm going to link to that video so you can watch it. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of the stats that he put up. I don't want to tell you all of them because I want you to go and watch them. It's insane what the things that he talks about in those 10 stats. So here's some of the things that are insane about Patrick Mahomes. He has the most passing yards ever by a player in their first 4 years. Mahomes has already won 6 playoff games since he's been in a Kansas City uniform. But here's the caveat. The Kansas City Chiefs have only won 4 in the 48 years prior to Mahomes taking advantage or taking the helm as the starting quarterback. So he's won more games in his first 4 seasons than the entire organization has won the past 48 years. It's been a long time since, I think it was over 45 years since they even competed in a Super Bowl, and he took them to that game in year 3. Probably should have done it in year 2 if, somebody didn't step off sides and take the interception back that Tom Brady was going to throw in that game. But, Patrick Mahomes can get revenge if he can win this game this year. But moving on, Mahomes averages 31 points per game in the games that he loses. In the games that he loses, Patrick Mahomes averages 31 points per game, which is more than Tom Brady has averaged in his career in wins. Mahomes averages more points in losses than Tom has ever averaged in wins. Over the last 2 years, Mahomes is 8-1. I want you to get this through your head. 8-1 in games that he has trailed by 2 scores, which accounts for an 88 win percentage. All other quarterbacks during that time span have won 12% of those games. Mahomes has never lost a game in the NFL by more than one score, which is a record that has been held for at least 70 years. I think it's at least been since 1950. And the last time he lost by double digits was in college. I believe it was to Iowa or Iowa State. So he's never lost by more than 7 points in an NFL game. If Mahomes wins this Sunday, he could have an MVP and 2 titles by age 25, and he would be the first player to do it since Emmitt Smith did it in Dallas, and he would be the second player ever to do it. Those would be the only 2 players who have ever done it by age 25. He also holds the record for the highest passer rating for a QB in their first 4 seasons at 108, and has the most passing touchdowns from a player during that span in his first 4 years. So we'll get to other players in this game, but one last thing really to talk about. The reason why I bring all this up is to tell you just how clearly different these 2 guys are at age 43 and age 25. Tom Brady is considered the NFL's GOAT, but here's a crazy stat for you that just out of the blue I wanted to share, and you may have heard this. It was something crazy that I heard a couple of years ago, but is just as relevant today. Tom Brady is more likely to win a conference championship and go to the Super Bowl than Steph Curry is to make his next 3-point shot. The greatest 3-point shooter that has ever touched a basketball in the NBA, Tom Brady is more likely to go to a NFL championship game than he is to make his next shot. That is insane. On the flip side, Mahomes has had the best start by a QB in NFL history, and probably, depending on who you ask, has the best start for a player in American sports history in his first 4 years. You're talking about a guy that's played in 3 consecutive conference championship games, now 2 consecutive Super Bowl games, and probably can go back to back. No one has really done that. Now, Tom Brady, I think, won 3 straight in his first 4 years. It was either 3 straight in the first 4 or 3 straight in the first 5. Either way, the difference between those 2 are, if you look at Tom Brady's first Super Bowl win, for example, I believe he threw for just at 150 yards in that game. Now, the game was a little bit different back then, I get that, but Tom Brady never had the impact that Patrick Mahomes did. Tom Brady, in that first couple of wins, in those Super Bowl wins, was really helped out a lot by Bill Belichick's defense. Now, I would argue the last 3 that he won was really kind of, 2 out of the 3 that he won, because the Rams game, Bill Belichick really shut the Rams down. But, Tom Brady really carried them as the years went on. But that's to say, I know the argument's going to be, well, Tom won 3 straight. Well, I get that. But he didn't play at the level that Patrick Mahomes is playing right now. So, yes, at the end of the day, with a win, Patrick Mahomes can move into the conversation as the guy who is the best chance to win or dethrone Tom Brady as the GOAT. He obviously has a long way to go. Even if he wins this game, he'll arguably have to win at least 2 more Super Bowls, which I don't think will be a problem. Now, most guys, and they'll tell you this too, Ryan Clark talks about this all the time. I can't remember who the specific player was. I believe it was the Minnesota Vikings, but there was a player who was talking about how, during their loss in the Super Bowl game, he put his arm around another guy and said, you know what, don't worry about it, we'll be back. And they would never got back again. So I understand how hard it is for them to win. But just like if you kept Bill Belichick and Tom Brady together, there was a greater chance of them reaching the Super Bowl. If you can keep Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes together, they're going to win most of their conferences and end up playing in a lot of Super Bowls. So at the end of the day, he has a lot to win, but those are the real reasons why we do the tail of the tape between 2 guys who is talked about the most, because there's a reason why they're talked about the most. Moving on here, I wanted to give you some players to look out for in this game. So for the Buccaneers, obviously they have a ton of weapons all over the field, but really I would pay attention to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. They're the most dangerous weapons in this Buccaneers offense. Chris Godwin, and they're both in their first ever playoffs, right? So Chris Godwin has 14 receptions for 223 yards and a touchdown. Over these same playoffs, Mike Evans has 10 receptions for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tom Brady is a guy who, and there's another stat that came up, that Tom Brady has thrown more passes, more TD passes to the most different players in NFL history. So he's going to use everybody. That includes Cameron Brake, That includes Rob Gronkowski, that includes Antonio Brown, that includes Scotty Miller, that includes Ronald Jones out of the backfield. So he's going to spread the ball out as much as he can, especially in not as, I don't want to say Kansas City's defense is suspect. They're a pretty good defense, but they can get out in the open field on them, and they could have a really good game. So Tom Brady's going to spread the ball as much as he can, but if he's going to rely on guys, he's going to rely on his top two options, which are Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. They also have the threat of the run game, which is really, really helpful in a balanced offensive attack if you can get Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette going, which has basically been what has gelled this team together, and how great this offense has been is because they're very much two-sided. One of the things that if you look at a Bill Belichick coach team, they try and take the best thing that you do away so that you're forced to beat them in your second option. If you can beat them in their second option, then you just won. Okay, hats off to you, you're good. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers can beat you in two ways. If you want to stop their passing game, they can go hand it off 40 times to Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. If you want to stop their run game, he'll just throw to Cameron Brate, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Scotty Miller 50 times in this game if he has to. So at the end of the day, they have a ton of weapons on offense. The biggest guys I'd pay attention to are Chris Godwin and Mike Evans in this game. One more, I'm only going to give you two for the Chiefs, but I wanted to do one more for the Buccaneers for this reason. I'm going to go with the biggest factor for the Bucs is going to be from their pass rushers. If you don't know, the Chiefs will be without their starting two tackles. So they're going with a backup left tackle and a backup right tackle. One of them will be the swing tackle, but they're going to go with two backups. So they're starting, I think it's Eric Fisher and Schwartz will not be in this game. This means guys like Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Devin White from his linebacker spot should have a field day blitzing up the middle around the sides against Patrick Mahomes. And if they can get home to Mahomes, Brady may be able to do just enough to control the clock and win this game. If you remember last year, Jimmy Garoppolo had a wide open touchdown pass to Emmanuel Sanders basically to put the Kansas City Chiefs away, and he missed that throw. I'm telling you, if it comes down to a throw like that, Brady won't miss. And so one of the biggest factors in this game is the Buccaneers pass rush. If they can get home to Mahomes, it's going to be easier, or not easier, but it'll give the ball more to Tom Brady and allow him to do the work that he's able to do. On the other side of the ball, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, and the first guy I bring up, which is other than Patrick Mahomes, you're always going to hear is Tyreek Hill. Now, one of the biggest arguments that people like to make all the time is who is the number one receiver in the NFL? You can argue about that till you're blue in the face for about 3 hours. There's a few guys, in my mind, there's three that have an argument to who's the best, but there's about 8 guys who have an argument who's top 5. That can go for a long, long time. But one of those 3 guys has to be Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is absolutely in the question for who is the best receiver in the NFL. And his biggest thing is, it's not that he runs the most crisp routes. He runs great routes. He does everything great. It's not that he's the best at that. He's not the most overpowering guy or the most physical guy. But that dude's speed is on another level. He is the fastest player in the NFL, probably by quite a margin. And that's what makes him so dangerous. So what defenses have to do is in their defensive coverages, they'll have to basically, what the Buccaneers will have to do is blanket coverage him, meaning they'll have a guy underneath and a safety out top to make sure that he can't catch underneath and run around them, but also try and keep him from able to go over the top on you. What's the dangerous thing about Tyreek Hill is if you give Patrick Mahomes time in the pocket, there's no way you're going to have enough time to stop him from getting the connection to Tyreek Hill. So if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can't get home to Patrick Mahomes out in their pass rush, Tyreek Hill may have a field day. And if you remember going back to that game last year, we just talked about Jimmy Garoppolo missing a throw. Well, there was one play in the fourth quarter where they basically had Patrick Mahomes zoned in, and he launched what looked like basically a punt to a wide open Tyreek Hill. Why? Because the offensive line was able to hold the San Francisco pass rush just enough for Tyreek Hill to find that zone or find that open spot in the coverage. So if they're not able to get home, this will happen all game. And so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass rush will have to get home in this game. During Tyreek Hill's playoff career, he has 54 receptions for 723 yards and 2 touchdowns. One would probably expect a higher TD number for a guy like Hill, but he'll scare defensive coordinators every week they have to play him. The other guy I picked for the Kansas City Chiefs, and what I think will probably be the biggest matchup, is the best tight end of football, Travis Kelsey. He is one of the best tight ends and may actually end up being the best tight end to ever step foot in an NFL game. Right now, my argument is Tony Gonzalez. There's arguments to be made about Rob Gronkowski on the other side of that field. But Travis Kelsey, if he's not close already, he's dang sure getting close soon. That dude is a cheat code at the tight end as a receiver. He is the human epitome of a guy who is too big for linebackers for cornerbacks to cover and too fast for linebackers to cover. He does it all in the receiver game and is basically one of the best, not only tight ends in the game, but one of the best receivers in the game. And so you'll have to find a way to stop him. In his playoff career, he has 73 receptions for 859 yards and 9 touchdowns. I think he and Tyreek Hill will make a huge impact in this game. So to give you the biggest X factor in what I think this game will end up being, the biggest X factor is what we talked about a little bit ago, is the Kansas City offensive line. This is where I think the game will be won and lost. And one thing that everybody will always tell you is the game is always won and lost in the trenches. I don't think that could be more true in this game. If the tackles, the new starting tackles for Kansas City cannot keep Mahomes upright or can't keep him from running for his life, it'll be a long night for Kansas City. If Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Ndamukong Suh, if Vita Vea can hold up blockers, if Devin White and Levante David can get in from blitzes, this is not going to be a fun night for Kansas City's offense. They're going to be able to wreak havoc on that offensive line if that's the way it goes. Now, if you're a Kansas City fan, you're hoping that they can protect Patrick Mahomes enough. And if they can do that well enough for them to run a little bit, but also basically just protect his blind side and open holes for Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell, this will be a very, very good game, if not a bigger game for Patrick Mahomes and his offense. So really, I think it's going to go and take one of two drastic changes. Not drastic in the sense that I think one is going to blow out the other team, but drastic in the sense of if they're not able to keep Patrick Mahomes upright, or not necessarily keep him upright, but keep him from not having guys in his face all game long. If they're not able to do that, Tampa Bay will probably pretty much control this game on the ground, or not the ground, but control the clock in the game. And that'll be, a point to how the Buccaneers end up winning this game. That's a point you can go back to. But if they are able to protect him, this game is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So prediction in this matchup, I went back and forth multiple times all week about who I thought would win this game. We saw a healthy offensive line from Kansas City playing this game earlier in the year, and Kansas City won by 3 in Tampa Bay. But with the Buccaneers pass rush, with Todd Bowles calling plays for Tampa Bay and loving to blitz guys the way that he does, I just find it hard to believe that they're not going to get home more often than not. And so I think that'll probably be the biggest factor in this game. That doesn't necessarily mean, again, that I'm predicting a lot of sacks. I'm not predicting JPP and Shaq Barrett to combine for 5 sacks. What I'm predicting is they're going to be able to get in Patrick Mahomes' face and alter his throws enough to stop or stall drives and give the ball back to Tom Brady. So with that being said, after a long deliberation, I am taking the Buccaneers to win this game and have Brady, love him or hate him, further cement his claim as the NFL's GOAT by winning his 7th title in 10 tries. So guys, to wrap it up, I wanted to talk about something a little serious, something that's near and dear to my heart, should be near and dear to everybody's heart. I just want to take this time to recognize this. It's something that we all have to have every day. I, like many of you, can't get through the day at all, to be honest with you, if I don't have this. It's a big part of who we are. Of course, I'm talking about food. Okay, man, I love food. I was a chubby kid growing up, worked out a little bit, so I'm not as chubby anymore, unless you talk to my brother, maybe going back and forth on that. But, I love food, and this is one of my favorite weekends of the year, even if my team isn't playing in this game, which they're not this year. But one of my favorite things is, preparing for the Super Bowl. So I'll give you 2 quick fun facts that I found on the internet today. Did you know that there is more food consumed on Super Bowl Sunday than there is in any other day in the year? And that includes Christmas and Thanksgiving, who pretty much everyone feasts throughout the entire day. There's more food eaten on Super Bowl Sunday than any other day in the year. Also, it is estimated that over 1 billion, with a B, 1 billion wings will be consumed on Super Bowl Sunday. That just, guys, that just warms my heart. Okay? It may even make me choke up a little bit. I freaking love wings, guys. I love them with every fiber in my being. Those are my favorite Super Bowl snacks, and I'm getting in my top 5 right now, but I'm going to start out with the best ever. Those dang wings, guys. Those are so good. And to tell you the truth, I'm going to cheat this year. Normally, every year for the Super Bowl, I make my own wings, so I get fresh wings. I do my own breading. I fry them, and I make my own buffalo sauce. And I dip them in that, marinate them because I like wet over dry wings. So I'll marinate them for a while, pick them up. I can eat those things all day, every day. But just as a caveat, you want to know the secret to my wings? Or my wing sauce that I make homemade every year. It doesn't take me too long to do it, but I make it homemade every year. You want to know the secret to my wings? It's called this. Okay, ready? Write this down. Here we go. You ready? It's called Nunya. You know why? Because I ain't telling none of y'all. Or I can tell it to you this way. This is what my brother used to do to me growing up, okay? So whenever I would want something, my brother would be like, Alex, say please. In my head, I'm like, okay, I just got to have my manners. And he's either having a straight face like this, or he's smiling and laughing, saying, Alex, say please. And I'll be like, okay, please. And then he'll say, no. So that's exactly what I'm going to do to y'all. Say please? No, not a chance. I'm not giving you that. I got to keep something secret. Am I right? Everybody's got to have that one recipe. I live by the code that everybody should know how to make one dish. Whether that's a dessert. Well, actually, no, I'm not even going to dessert. Everybody should know how to make one dinner dish. Now, I like to cook, so I've kind of love to learn how to do dishes. But my best dish is probably my buffalo sauce. So if you ever know me and if you ever get a chance to come hang out with me at a party one time, at a Super Bowl party, man, I'll make you some wings and you can try them. Still won't tell you a clue what's in that thing because I don't want you to know. And it's really not that hard. I'm just trying to keep it a secret. Right? I don't need that information to get out everywhere else. So anyway, I freaking love wings, guys, and I cannot wait to eat some more. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you where I'm going this year. Man, I've debated it for a while. I'll be in Athens, Georgia with some of my friends. Just graduated from there, so I'll be up there to enjoy some time with them. Going to be safe. Not going to be a lot of people here at the party, but I debated going to Zaxby's. Then I debated going to a couple Wingstop. I think there's a place in Athens called Wingster. But at the end of the day, man, I decided to go with American Deli. American Deli holds a special place to my heart. Those wings, oh my gosh, they're so good. And not to mention, when you go, listen, the next time you go to American Deli, if you've never been, please go tomorrow or please go Sunday. Just go and try it one time. But go and get whatever flavor wings you want. I love the flavor of like mild or medium. Now, I am a spicy guy. I love spicy wings and spicy food, but really, for flavor-wise, I always get mild or medium. I just love the flavor of them. But the drink you have to get. Now, you have to get a soft drink. If you don't drink a soft drink while you're eating wings, to me, you're a monster. I don't know how you can do that. I have to have that carbonation. But get the cherry Fanta. Now, not the cherry Fanta from the fancy Coke machine that you touch screen press. No, don't do that. Get the fancy... not the fancy, sorry. Get the cherry Fanta that's out of the old... Looks like a Slurpee slushy. Oh gosh, what's the old Slurpee slushy thing that you can find at gas stations? I can't remember what it is. It's the old one that looked like a bunny. Anyway, it looks like one of the oldest fountain drink stations you've ever seen in your life, and they've got a cherry Fanta one. It tastes like a cherry icy. If you love cherry ices, I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna get probably. It's probably not good for my health. I'm getting 2 32 ounces of those things, and I'm going to drink both of them in probably about 5 minutes. So that's my go-to. Other ones, a top 5 to finish it off. So I told you about wings. My next one probably is, I think, is the second favorite or the first favorite, depending on who you ask in Super Bowl snacks, which is pizza. I could eat pizza all day, every day. I'm a simple guy, man. If you give me a pepperoni pizza, I'm good. You don't have to do anything special for me. But depending on what you like on your pizza, pizza's my second favorite. Third is not really necessarily a snack you eat, but it is Dr. Pepper. Man, you can never go wrong with Dr. Pepper. That's my game day go-to every weekend. For usually on Saturdays, I try not to drink more than one soda in a week, but that's my go-to whenever I watch game days. Next is chips and salsa or chips and queso. And finally is dessert. Usually for me, that's cake or cookies. I love making cake, so I usually do something like that, or I love cookies, and so we'll get some cookies from somewhere, or we'll make them at the house. So those are my top 5: wings, pizza, Dr. Pepper, chips and salsa, and dessert. So in the comment section, let me know what your favorite ones are. We talked about this a few weeks ago that I said, in this show, we would talk about our favorite Super Bowl stacks leading up to Super Bowl Sunday. Tell me what yours are. Tell me your top 5. Tell me what you love. Tell me your secret things you love on your pizzas or your wings or whatever you eat. Tell me the weirdest thing you probably eat on Super Bowl Sunday. And then tell me who's going to win this game. Guys, if you're a Buccaneers fan, good luck. If you're a Kansas City fan, good luck. As just a fan of football in general, I'm really excited for this game. It should be really fun, and I'm super, ready for it and pumped for it. We'll be back next week for more college football updates and reviewing this game. I'll talk about Alabama's recruiting class next week, along with some other things coming up. So I highly appreciate everyone for listening here tonight. My name is Alex Joyce. This is the Between the Tackles podcast, and I will see you guys next week.